I would like to welcome to the Wayback Country Jamboree today a true pioneer of race car driving, a man who has been known for many formulas of racing, including the championship of the Formula One, as well as sprint cars, stock cars, and all cars in between. And please welcome to the show today the true king of racing, Mr. Mario Andretti.
Thank you for having me, Johnny.
Well, it's a pleasure to be talking to you, and such a world-renowned person as you, too, yeah.
Well, it's wonderful. It's wonderful to be on.
So let's go back to 1940. You were born a twin of your brother Aldo in Montana, Italy. What was your first memories growing up?
Well, I was born just when the World War II erupted. So the memory that I have of my childhood is, a lot of uncertainties. As a child, you don't really understand. That's all that I knew. But you almost had to feel that a lot of things were not, normal, because there was almost a surprise every day. And by the time the war was over, I was 5 years old,
Exactly.
1945. And then more of the problems began after that because since they lost the war, they lost the territory that I was born in, which is the peninsula of Istria.
Yes.
It was one of the Italian regions at the far northeast of Italy, and it was ceded to Yugoslavia after the Paris Pact of Russia, U.S., France, and the UK.
Okay.
So anyway, and from that, after that land was annexed to the hardline communism, Yugoslavia, we decided, my dad, obviously didn't want to succumb to communism, so we left, and we were actually refugees in our own country for 7.5 years in Italy.
And so you immigrated to America in 1955, I understand.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
What was the land like when you came to America?
Well, it's a new world. It's a new experience. As kids, though, even at the age of 15, you always, you look at the bright side of things. We had an older sister. Aldo and I had an older sister, Anna Maria, and she was one that was much more mature, as you can imagine. Obviously, she was 6 years older than us. And,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
She was very jovial. She was very positive, and that's it. And then once you arrive here, you go to school again, and you make friends, and everything. You blend right in, no problem.
Exactly. Yes. So, would you tell us about discovering racing?
Well, I discovered racing when we were in Italy.
Yes.
Italy was very prominent in Formula One, in the 50s especially, with, Ferrari, Maserati, Alfa Romeo, and current world champions. My idol became Alberto Scotti, who was a world champion in the mid-50s, and that's it. Aldo and I saw the first Grand Prix in Monza in 1954 at age 14, and that's it. The dream began then, to become race drivers.
Yeah, I see. And when you did your first racing, your brother had a serious crash, I understand.
Yes, at the very last race of the first season, which was in 1959, 4 years after we arrived, he in a qualifying heat in Hatfield, Pennsylvania, he had a terrible accident, which actually put him out of racing for the following year.
Okay.
And he raced for 10 more years. He raced sprint cars, and then he had another big one in 1969, 10 years later, and that ended his career, yeah.
Okay, and I understand that there was something to do with your father not knowing that you two were racing.
Well, that's true. My dad, not being a true race fan, of course, he only knew the downside of the sport, which in those days, was, a lot of fatalities. Safety was certainly not what we're enjoying today. Yeah. And because of that, he had, there's no way that he would have condoned us to race,
Exactly.
and we were still underage, so he could have stopped us, so we didn't dare tell him.
Exactly.
And he only learned that we were racing after Aldo got hurt, and he was in the hospital for a long time. But the worst part was when I started building a new car for the following season. When he found out that I was racing the following season, then it wasn't. then it was, not pleasant news from his standpoint.
Exactly, I hear you. So would you share with us how you got acquainted with the midget race?
Well, we just, my objective was to come out of the stock car world as, as I felt, we won some races and so forth, and felt that I wanted to be single-seaters, open-wheel cars, and the midget world was the next step. And actually, by then I was married, and my wife's father invested in a three-quarter midget for me to race indoors during the winter, and from there I picked up because I won some the biggest race of the year there, the 100-lapper in Teaneck, and I picked up a ride in a full-size midget for the following season, which was really golden for me. And so again, that my career progressed that way, went from midget sprint cars, and the objective is to get into the top level here in the States, which is Indy cars.
Yes.
And I reached that in 1964.
Okay. And
so in 64, through injury of another driver, I got a test drive in one of the Dean Van Line team, which was one of the top 3 teams in that series, and that was really, that was an opportunity of a lifetime for me. It was almost life-changing at that point, because the following year was my key year, a full season in IndyCar in 65, and I was then the youngest driver to ever win the national championship.
Exactly.
In my rookie year, so that was that was obviously just a great launching pad for me to just progress and continue my career.
For sure.
So I won a championship the following year again.
Yeah.
So I backed it up and had good success at Indy. So.
What was your thoughts, or what was that honor like to be the youngest national champion in the United States at age 25?
Well, again, nowadays at age 25, you're almost a veteran.
Yes, you are.
Days, it was only legal to race professionally at age 21.
I see.
So it was, something was different, but at the same time, to be the first at doing anything in the sport that you love so much is, is a matter of pride, no question.
Exactly.
And tremendous amount of satisfaction, and also, at a young age like that, when you're a rookie, you feel like you belong.
Exactly.
You can imagine, because you always have some doubts. I wonder if I can be good enough, on and on and on, and that obviously gives you all the incentive to work hard and again, to try to improve your performances and everything. But you never know until you actually do perform, until you actually bring results.
Yes.
And there's no better result than you done a year-end championship. It's the result of a banner season, of course.
So what are your thoughts on the modern day races?
Well, I think motor racing is in a very good place. No question about it. I think that all of the disciplines, the major disciplines, are flourishing. You can do, IndyCar is really at a place now after a long slump, when there was, back in the mid-90s when, there was some wrestling for control and there was a division there. But nevertheless, IndyCar is a good place. Great talents, young talents, and even the veterans are still young enough to perform for a long time. And then NASCAR the same way, and Formula One.
Yes.
Sports prototypes. You got the Petit Le Mans this weekend in Georgia, and you have very strong IMSA field that I think the sports car world in America is probably as strong as it's ever been. So, like you said, I'll reiterate that motorsports nowadays is very strong, as strong as it ever was.
Well, that's great to hear, yeah. And what do you think of the money that racers get today compared to yesterday, or your era?
Well, you know, obviously everything evolves.
Yes.
You know, but in IndyCar, quite honestly, it was very lucrative for us especially from mid to late 80s to the 90s, and then after the car, I told you, the split, then a lot of things just really declined. A lot of the wealth in that series was just gone, and now it's been slowly rebuilt. But,
yeah.
It's still not at the level that it was then. You
No,
know, the earning power at that time, believe it or not, was greater than it is today in IndyCar. But stock cars, however, flourished. Stock car, NASCAR took advantage of the slump of Indy cars at the time, and they just, just for them, it was the sky was the limit, and they benefited tremendously. And of course, Formula One, from about especially the 90s on, it really took off in that respect. There's a lot of wealth in Formula One.
I see, okay. And so you have raced many different styles. What has been your most greatest achievement during your career?
Well, I mean, you have to look back at on a personal level. My dream of becoming a race driver began watching Formula One. That's really what captured my imagination, and to be able to win the World Championship, and especially clinching the World Championship in Monza, where I actually saw the very first Formula One race.
Is that right?
It was, to me, you could call it coming full circle, and but also having had the opportunity to win, 4 national championship, a dirt track championship here, and in America, was obviously all that, more than I could have hoped for. And so, as I always say, I count my blessings every day for the opportunities that I had, and the results that I was able to bring home.
Exactly. And that's very true. It is a blessing in our careers, what we have witnessed or what we have achieved.
Indeed.
So in 1990, you and your 2 sons and nephew made another first in your career, and that was as a family members competed in the same Indy car race.
Well, yeah, we actually, it was first all-family podium, and we were in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It was an IndyCar championship race, and Michael was first, and my nephew John was second, I was third.
Okay.
And so it was an all-Andretti family, but as a family, I think we've had a lot of great moments.
Exactly, you sure have.
Because, Michael and I, in IndyCar, we were on podium in IndyCar 15 times.
Yes.
And we started first on the front row 10 times and finished 1-2 in IndyCars 5 times.
Okay, yes.
And as a family in 1991 and 1992, there was the first and only time, even to today, the 4 members of the same family qualified and raced at the Indianapolis 500.
Exactly.
So that was us. It was actually my oldest son, Michael, my younger son, Jeff, and nephew John, and myself. And so I'll give you another one. As far as a family, in 1986, the Pocono 500, there was a support event, the Indy Lights, and my younger son was in that support event. He won. He was pole position in that, and he won his race. My son, Michael, was pole position for the 500, and I won the 500. So between the 3 of us, we cleaned house that weekend.
Amazing, yes.
When you look back as a family, how could you want anything more?
That's right, exactly.
It's a lot of pride, and these are lasting moments for a lifetime to rejoice and again, that's why I always say, just count my blessings every day.
That's for sure. Now, I remember you best for an episode of Home Improvement, which was a 1990s series on TV. What are your recollections of doing that episode with Tim Allen?
Well, it was a fun thing, especially that, Tim became a good friend of the family here. And as a matter of fact, when Michael went Formula One in 1993, he traveled a lot with him to Europe and all that. And a great guy, as a comedian, we had a lot of fun in doing something like that. We did a couple of those episodes.
You sure did.
Yeah, it was... It's kind of cute.
Exactly. It was one of my favorite episodes from that series when you appeared on there. Yes. No, so I have a couple more questions for you there, Mr. Andretti. And you are considered one of the greatest, if not the greatest, car racer of all time. What is your advice to young people?
Follow your dreams.
Okay.
That's all I can say. I mean, if you have a passion to pursue, anything in life, just have no plan B.
Okay.
I always said, when things seemed even impossible.
Yes.
Even when I was younger, my dream seemed like just that, a dream. Do you know something? I just never had a plan B, which means I pursued that under any circumstance, and it flourished. Finally, a lot of things came true. Sometimes you cannot predict. You figure, oh my God, this seemed like, oh, no way. But yeah.
Exactly, and it's a true blessing.
Stay on it. I think if you're driven by the love of what you want to do and the passion, there's a lot of strength there. So
exactly.
Don't give up. Don't give up on your dreams.
Okay. And how would the great Mario Andretti like to be remembered?
Well, basically, I'm a guy that probably loved driving race cars more than anyone on this planet. I put my desire behind anyone, and it's one that lives for the sport. I'm proud of my family. I'm proud of what the family has accomplished even there, but also more than anything that our families, both on my brother's side, my sister's side, we're one happy group.
Well, that's great.
And that in itself it's got so much, it's so precious.
Exactly.
And we continue. We're a very, very close family, and that's a beautiful thing.
I thank you for being on the show, and it's been a true honor to talk to you, Mr. Andretti.
My pleasure. My pleasure, indeed.